Hello and welcome back to the Popcorn for Dinner podcast. And welcome to Cavendish College, where we are all diligently enacting change with our seating protest and not at all trying to skip out on exams that we definitely aren't prepared for. Joining me one final time on this sex education trip, the last two episodes. We're discussing the final two episodes of sex education, and joining me one final time, it's two-thirds of this cinema crew. Please don't ask them how many blankets they've conveniently burned. It's Chinedu and Priscilla. How are you guys doing?
Hi guys, hello, hello, hello. I have the life sucked out of me thanks to capitalism, but but I'm doing
It be
okay,
like
man.
that.
I'm good. I'm
It do
actually
be like
excited
that.
to talk about these two episodes.
Yeah, it always. I always wonder whenever like I have to get people on to record episodes. Obviously, at the end of days, whether this is a respite or it's just making the day longer. But I try not to ask so I don't feel guilty. Priscilla, how are you doing?
Tired,
Like,
but
yeah,
I'm
okay.
okay.
Okay. Well, as you guys I'm sure know, we have a lot to go through this episode, so I'm just gonna be very quick. Admin, The Continental is out now. The first episode with Obiora Ibuka and Robert. Gen V is coming out next week. We'll have a couple of guests on that, a returning guest and a first timer on that episode. I'll be doing Gen V. I've seen the first few episodes. I think there will be some things that people will need to talk about. Like there's some clips that you're going to see online. So yeah, I think definitely check out Gen V. Top Boy Winning Time all on the feed right now. I'm going to really try really hard. This episode is going to be long, so I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as we can. Um, Sex Education, the final two episodes. Episode 7 is written by Bella Hissom, and episode 8 is written by Thara Popola, and both are directed by Alisa McCalland. Um, I want to start with the protest, the seating protest, and then we'll probably move into to episode 8. Um, how do I? So I have a bit of concern through trolling I want to do, and I can see because I was watching. I was like, I can see the criticism of of this show, and it had been sprinkled across different parts of it being like maybe too didactic or basically boiling down to thesis statements and argument. And I don't think this is not about how do I put it? It's not about the content of what it's talking about. Not like it's not talking about trans or gay or black people, but about the way it's done. Right? I can see the argument. However, as a fan of the newsroom, I'm definitely and obviously a fan of didacticism. And I think like this is just a little bit of an aside. I feel like TV is cool because like you get to have characters that say things that are way more articulate than they actually should be. You get to allow didacticism. You get to just preach in a way that like would not fit in the real world, but like works because it's a TV show. Like you get to have
Mm-hmm.
characters that are 17 speak like they are 50 and have gone through 2 decades of therapy. That's just because that's how TV is. Like you get to have people that will never be that articulate in real life actually say what their real feelings are across all
Yeah.
shows and talk like they're the smartest person in the room. And I just so all that to say that like I do see the argument of that maybe this is maybe too didactic and maybe it's too preachy or maybe it's too convenient, but at the same time I'm just like fully on board because I just think that's what TV should be. I think TV should give that grace to especially when you are preaching or talking about something that it's not not everyone else's experience. Like sometimes you just need to be blunt and straight to the point and say, "This is how it is. This is how I feel. I'm not going to try and put it in a good way." And obviously, that always works when you have like some truly great performers on the show. You have really funny, really creative, really emotional and raw writing. So yeah, that was just like my little soapbox moment. Um, Jade, what did you think of this protest movement with the Cavendish College students?
I see the criticism, but at the same time, like I'm always a fan of teaching us something on
Mm-hmm.
TV. Not gonna lie, like um Top Boy just finished, and I think they did some of that. I think where you lose me is when it starts to get like it's not necessary to the plot, or it's something that's not that we haven't seen in the show before, but we've seen like this type
Mm.
of like coming together of teenagers before,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
prove a point. We've seen it on sex education, like, and we've seen representation of identities. We've seen, like, sex education try to, teach us something about, like, how how diverse we are, how diverse people are. And yeah, I didn't mind it one bit. I liked it because, at the end of the day, these are people, this is what they face every day, or this is what they face, in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be conscious of that. We need to be able to remember that. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Like, I can't lie. I think where, again, like I said, it's maybe it might get lost on me, as if, like, it feels like, okay, every like 10 minutes we're having like a coming together of all the characters to teach us something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then that's when, yeah, but I didn't mind it at all.
Yeah. Priscilla, do you have any thoughts on that sequence?
I didn't mind it, to be honest. I mean, think similar to, like, I really loved the protest scene in the last Top Boy season because it reminded me of like the old Summer House days, because the show hasn't felt like that for a long time. And then seeing the protests, the two that they did were like, okay, we're going to where you originally started from on Channel 4. We didn't have that much money, and you're going back to the roots of why these kids and why most of these guys are in the position that they are in, and what's caused these things to happen. So I really liked it, and it made sense with this storyline in regards to sex education. I think it did need to happen. I think it's important that we do see these scenes. I think, and I don't want to speak for people in that community,
Mm-hmm.
because half of my friendship group are in that community. So I would like to hear what they think following this. But I think sometimes sex education do the big things very well and don't do the small things very well. So there's a lot of nuance with the cis hetero storylines that they add in there. Except Otis, which was only time this happened was this season, where there was a lot of nuance regarding him, was season 4, ironically. But regarding most of the cis hetero people on the show, there was a lot of nuance behind it. So they understood, the different little things that happen. And, sometimes, like, what makes Heartstopper such a popular show on Netflix and why it's such a good book, because it's just a show about gay kids and trans kids as they are, as they're living. There are elements where they have conversations about that which are important, but it's not the entire emphasis of their character, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes, maybe moving forward, they do the small things really well. You've done the big thing. I mean, maybe they have a different opinion, people in the community, but they do the big protest stuff like quite well thought out. But the tiny things haven't been well thought out. Why did it take you 4 seasons for us to see Eric in his true self? Why did it take us this long to see this many characters communicating? And I think what I liked more was the relationship issues between the characters. That was interesting to see, because that wasn't shown in all the other seasons before. And you've had gay, trans, non-binary characters on the show the entire time. Do you know what I mean? So I think it goes across all TV shows, except maybe a few that they know how to do the big, big stuff very, very well. The tiny things, the little things that make them them, like the little nuances, they don't do as well. So that's my only critique with one of many critiques I have with sex education, but that's one of the things I had with it. So yeah, that was my opinion regarding the protest, I guess.
Mm.
But I did like it. Like, it was nice to
Before,
see.
yeah, before we move on, because before we move on to episode 8, who wants to apologize to Isaac first?
I'm not apologizing to him. No, I'm sorry.
Priscilla's heart is made of
Priscilla
stone.
is, to be fair, Priscilla is the only person that needs to apologize to him.
Yeah, like, I mean, we'll get to O as well, but Priscilla, I don't know. You might have to hand out just a little bit,
I'm
just
not.
some.
I'm not apologizing. Oh, I'll apologize
Actually,
to
to be
him.
honest, what he did was trash. No, not gonna lie. Like,
No,
Well,
what he
Isaac
did, like,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
wasn't the
I
protest.
no, 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 no. As in when
Oh,
Otis,
from previous
uh,
season. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
like,
yeah, like,
so we're not
No,
going to
someone can't do one good thing and then I forget. Sorry, it doesn't work out that way.
Laurie Nunn, who created the show, said this season's about second chances, and it feels a bit harsh that Priscilla doesn't want to give Isaac a second chance. I don't know. That just feels a
I'm
bit
not giving him a
targeted,
second
Isaac.
chance.
Priscilla.
Me, yeah, it depends on what you've done. Do you know what I mean? It's the level of what you've done. I'm sorry, like his behavior was disgusting.
Wow.
It
So
Like
was a
even
bit
you,
mad.
I'm not. Is
It,
this
it was
kumbaya
a bit
thing
mad.
is not. I need to see consistent change behavior before I say anything. Just because he's being nice to the girl he likes, don't mean anything.
Damn.
yeah, like be fair. That was-
I'm sorry,
um.
it's a cold world, but that's how it
Wow.
works.
He's 17. Okay, let's go to the finale. Let's go to kind of wrap up the stories of these characters. This is where we spend majority of our time. Um, General question. I think I'll start with you again, Chinedu. Was there a point in this episode where your heart wasn't in a vice grip? Because I felt like it had like its cold hand on my heart through all 18, 19 minutes of this episode. I was just like, let it go, please.
You know what? Yeah, like as I was watching, what I just remembered was you talking about like the whole Netflix and binging and like the release strategy, and I was
Mm-hmm.
just thinking I could have had 8 weeks of joy from this, but now I'm having to pack this all into
I
like
mean,
1 week.
yeah.
And it's like this show means a lot to me. Like it's one of the best shows, I would say that comfortably, like on TV. In terms of what it does with the characters and the stories, and I was just sad, man. Like I'm not gonna lie, like it was. I just kept looking at the timer, and it's like it's closer to ending. Oh my god! Like yeah, I was gonna say at the start of the episode, like, if anyone catches me crying, please just mind your business. I beg. Like,
Did you? I was
but
gonna ask, did you cry up at any point during the episode?
look, yeah, look, I didn't cry,
Okay.
but a scene that really touched me. I'm sure we'll get into it, but
Hmm.
Adam and his dad hugging each other,
Hmm.
bro. Bro, I had to like, kind of drink some water just to cool the emotions down, like just a bit. But no, I enjoyed it with so many emotions. Like obviously, like just joy at seeing what they've done with the characters, like Adam's growth, his dad as well, and obviously sadness at like a show that I really like love going away, and laughter. It's one of the things that the show does well.
Hmm.
It was a really good way to end the show that is very dear to all of us.
Priscilla, how many times did you cry during the episode?
It was with Eric and Otis. I firmed it the entire
All
time
the way to the
because
end. You got all the way to the end.
them two talked. I was like, do you know what
Fair
it is?
enough.
Yeah, it's because those two have a tangible softness between the two of them, like the love between. That's why I said
Hmm.
I didn't doubt that them two would get back to where they were,
Hmm.
because when you have a friendship built on a love like that, it will take a lot for you to separate.
Fair,
It will
fair.
take a lot. That's why I was so firm with it, because I kept thinking, because there's some friendships where you watch and you kind of know, like, yeah, you guys will drift apart. Those
Hmm.
two, by Kingdom Come, like, whatever happens, they're stuck. Like, they're together.
Hmm.
They're basically like a married couple. So when they were talking, and Eric was saying like how he's going to be a pastor, and Oates was saying he's doing
That
really
that shook
well.
me, by the way.
We'll get to Eric. We'll get to
And
Eric.
then when Otis was saying what he wanted to do, and how like you could tell, you know, it was really nice. But I think Otis made me more emotional, mainly because I think you could sense Otis had a sense of peace, and he's
Hmm.
been an anxious wreck for 4 seasons. So to
Hmm.
see him at a place where he's actually happy and calm and settled, he doesn't know, obviously, like, you don't
Hmm.
know what the future holds for you, but he's actually like, you know what, like, whatever happens, I can cope with this. I've got the coping mechanism to deal with it.
Hmm.
It was such a relief. So I've been so worried about it. Like, Eric is one of the people, like, I was worried about Eric, but I know Eric will get to the place where he needs to get to.
Hmm.
But people like Eric and Otis are pretty very similar actually. Like they put so much onus on looking after other people, they forget about themselves. So I was really happy that both of them made selfish decisions for themselves, and then they ended it back together. Amy made me cry. Yo, that girl Amy, she's in my heart. She almost made me cry. She almost made me cry. I was really happy for Ruby. I'm really happy she found her boundaries. I'm really happy she found her tribe. Very happy for her. She needed that moment, I think, for her to pick herself. And sometimes you don't need to be friends with people. Like sometimes
Oh, you mean
firm your boundary.
Han Otis?
Yeah, I was really happy because I was so hoping they were not going to do the typical thing where you make them be friends afterwards. Because sometimes it's not possible, and it's neither Otis' fault or Ruby's fault. Sometimes you just can't when you've had that feeling for someone and that person's hurt you, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Sometimes you can't. There's no way back, and that's not the person's fault. That's just for your own mental well-being. So I'm happy that she
Hmm.
did that.
Hmm.
Really happy for all the new characters, and I was really happy for like Raph and like like I was happy everyone had got there. Like everyone's storyline ended so well that I felt satisfied finishing. I
Yeah.
was upset, of course, but I was satisfied. No one, it wasn't leaving me like I needed another season. And I can
Hmm.
picture
Hmm.
where they are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try our best to go like character by character because there's just so much to go through. Before we go into that, a couple of things I just don't know I didn't know where to put them in the notes. I really want to shout out Hannah Gatsby's energy throughout the season, like just her being in a scene. Whatever, for anyone who doesn't know, that I'm talking about Jean's boss at the radio station. I was just like, I don't know if it was the accent or just like I was like, whatever. She didn't put a foot wrong this entire season. Um, and I think I kind of touched on this last week when we were discussing just the new format of the season. But seeing all the characters, like, or at least all our fave characters from Mordale searching for Cal, this finale made me realize just how much I missed having these characters together. Like, I missed having
Yeah.
Amy and Viv speaking together, or Jackson and Amy. And it's just like, because they've all been in their own isolated stories. And I think for the most part, it's worked. To get what Priscilla said last week, I think it's been a success largely, but you do realize I miss all this kind of interconnections. It's just like, oh yeah, I like my characters talking to each other. I like my favorite characters interacting with one another. Okay, let's start with Cal for obvious reasons.
Gosh.
Cal
Yeah.
said the word in like their first appearance in this episode when they said that they were experiencing dysphoria, and it's a word that I feel like I knew, but I also feel like I didn't know. It's a weird word. I was like, I know that word, but also don't know that word, and it's such a perfect word to explain so many feelings and what they were experiencing, and I guess what lots of people experience. Um, yeah, Carl is in the pits, and then their disappearance is kind of what triggers most of the school to go looking for them. I don't know. Again, because we are not the target, not audience, but the target demographic for this kind of story, I don't think there is much we can say about the story beyond just from a personal, like a human point of view, right? We can't talk about the specific feelings of being a transitioning person, but we can't talk about just the feelings of being alone and feeling like you're not right for this world. So many different people experience that in one way or the other, just being through bouts of depression and being through like nobody understands you and all of that thing. It was so expertly done the way it was seeded in throughout the season through different conversations and different glances or whatever to blow up in the finale. Who wants to go first? Talking about Cal.
I mean, I don't mind. Um, Watching it was very upsetting. This is the bit I almost it got to me
Hmm.
actually, because I think watching them experience such a weird turmoil inside them, and you're trying to watch them process it, then trying to watch them explain it to someone else when they don't quite understand, or they
Mm-hmm.
understand what it is, but how do you then explain it to someone else who's never going to know exactly how that feels? I think the feeling of loneliness is like I think what was interesting, and it was an interesting dynamic the show did, was that in a period where Cal should probably feel like they have the most support and they're in the most probably warm environment they've ever been in since being arriving into the scene, with the school being more open, there's characters, she's got someone they've got someone um who is it? Is it Roman?
Mm-hmm.
was yeah, Roman, who also knows what that's like,
Mm-hmm.
and they still are, and they feel more lonely than ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I I I found that so fascinating. I mean, I guess anyone could it. I feel like I don't know. It's not the same, but I imagine like it is probably what it's like when you're the only person in the room. Now there's many of you in the room, but then you still feel alone.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you tend to think that if there's a majority of us, then I'll feel better because there's more people that look like me. There's more people who are like me. There are more people who understand where I'm coming from. But
Mm-hmm.
then for Cal to get to the place where they understand, like actually having more people like me helped, and I could talk to people, and that was great. But that feeling is still there, and it hasn't gone away. That was interesting for them to battle with. And I think what was really lovely was seeing the support of their mum. Like to see a mum in a show like this be so warm and loving of their child who's transitioning, and in like I we don't really get to see that often, especially a black child, was so lovely to see. And I think the whole school like caring for her, caring for them, loving them, understanding them, like really like it was really really lovely. Actually, that's why I almost well up, because I thought, you know, it's actually really nice to see someone be well loved
Mm-hmm.
by everyone around them. And sometimes it's really hard to see that when you're so stuck in that mindset of like, I can't get out of this, like no one understands me. And Cal had 1,000 hands reaching out to them, and they didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
So it was really nice that they came to the conclusion that, you know what, I've got to support everyone around me, and if I don't know how I feel right now, that's okay. That's going to take time to heal. I think they were expecting a quick fix, and that's not how life works sometimes. Sometimes it takes few years. Like what they're going through is something no one else will understand, and it'll take years for you to work out those feelings. And it's not just a thing of something will quickly go away. It's something that's going to take time and
Mm-hmm.
open dialogue. And the best thing for them that a lot of people in that community don't have is that they've got a loving community and a loving family supporting them. And that's half the battle won. The rest of it is just them, all them working together to make sure that Cal gets to where they want to get to, wherever that place is. But yeah, it was really nice actually. I almost cried. Oh, I almost cried when they were in the bed, when they were lying in the bed with their mum. Oh,
Uh,
a tear almost dropped, and I was like, no, you gotta suck it up.
uh, Chinedu, thoughts?
Man, I mean, Priscilla's basically said,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of it. Like, the only thing I would say is sometimes just watching, Carl and the show generally, it's almost like these kids are 17 going through this. And
Mm-hmm.
it was just very heavy knowing that, Carl is a very young person, going through this feeling of dysphoria, like they said. And yeah, you just want to give them a hug. You just want to make things better for them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Priscilla said pretty much all of it.
You're actually literally do like I wanted to give them a hug. Those like especially when they were at the, I don't know where they were, but like that rocky mount like cliff thing that they were
Mm-hmm.
sat on,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Eric spotted them. I've never wanted to hug someone in my life so bad. Like I really wanted to hug them. So I'm like, You are going through so much right now, and I don't think you understand
yeah,
half of it." And it was
yeah,
just so, and
yeah,
yeah, and I was happy that Eric was the one that found them. That was the thing I was relieved about the most. It was probably the best person to see Cal in that exact moment, I think, because Eric's quite he's slightly out of the situation a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's an outsider, but he's a loving outsider, and so he would probably understand probably more than anyone else would. But obviously, he's
Yeah.
not in that community. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I
Obviously
mean,
he's not exactly like Cal. Obviously, then he's not going through the same thing. But I think they needed an outsider, someone who
yeah.
wasn't directly involved in their circle, but then someone who would also be more sympathetic to their
Yeah.
situation probably more than the next person. Not that the others aren't, but probably Eric would probably be 10 times more just because of as a person, how empathetic he is and how human he is and how he listens to everyone and how he loves everyone. So I think that was I'm happy they picked that person. I think it was
That's
Jackson.
interesting.
If it was Jackson, I would have been happy if it was Jackson, but then I think it would have annoyed me a little bit because I think sometimes you just need someone who's not in the inner circle
Hmm.
Hmm.
to speak to. And I think Cal needed that. And it needed to be either like Eric, maybe Amy, Otis, someone who's not in it like
Oh, I
everyone
definitely
else
think
is.
in, yeah, I mean, I think originally when I saw that it was Eric was going to find them, I think I was initially not happy about it. I think I thought it was going to take away from the Carl Jackson conversation that needed to happen. But obviously that still happened, so I was fine with it. I like that scene a lot because it was three black teenagers talking. I this is so Priscilla, obviously you know the Bechdel test. And
Mm.
for anyone listening, the Bechdel test is a test or something sort of basically as a joke by an American cartoonist. I think her name is Alison Bechdel. And basically it's two named female characters having a conversation not about a man. So it's like, does the movie pass that Bechdel test? And I really do want, I've been thinking about this for a while. I really do want like a black version of that test. I want to have like, because I think about it so much whenever I watch things now. I want to have two or more black characters talking to one another, not about a white person.
This is why I didn't want Jackson to be there for this exact reason. Because the
Why?
conversation would have spun, the way they would have written it would have spun from Cal's turmoil
Hmm.
to Jackson's thing. And that needed to be two completely separate
Fair. I
conversations.
mean,
I
that's
did I
fair.
did not I did not want, because it would actually piss me off so much that someone's talking about their feelings of dysphoria and
I don't
suicide
know, but
and
you have
all
to.
I
this
guess
stuff.
I guess it depends on how much the writers rate Jackson's character, because
Yeah,
I
you have
think
to
Jackson
believe that.
is more
Yeah,
intelligent than
than
that.
that. I would hope so because I was actually we'll talk
Yeah.
about Jackson
I
later
would
because
I would hope so, but it's still, you're writing a male character. Even the
Fair
greatest
enough.
writers fall in that trap. And I
Fair
didn't
enough.
want I that's why I didn't want Jackson to be the one to find them at all
Yeah.
whatsoever. I didn't want it. I wanted it to be an outsider specifically for this reason, because then it opens up the dialogue for Cal to really talk about how they felt to
yeah.
someone, because that person doesn't know. Really, they know, but they don't know. So that's why I
You
wanted
know.
it. Because now we understood Cal and how they feel and everything. I have a better perspective of everything that's been going
Yeah.
on. That's been
Yeah.
going on in their head for about 2 seasons now. With Jackson, they would have sort of diluted it a little bit because they don't want to hurt their feelings
Hmm.
because that
Okay.
person cares
Well,
about
yeah,
them.
that's like a part. Oh, actually, let me expatiate on what I was saying earlier because where I ended was not a good place. So, two named black characters who have a conversation with one another, not about a white person or about their blackness, but in which their blackness is not acknowledged. So they're not having a conversation about racism or slavery. But I like that conversation between Jackson, Carl, and Eric. And this might just be me as the person I am reading the scene, but I feel like their blackness is never in doubt. Like when they are talking to one another, they it's it's subtext, but maybe even more than like they know what they're saying. They're not saying, "Oh, because we're black people and you're trans and you're gay and you have two lesbian moms, whatever." They're saying like because we're different people, but they all acknowledge that they are all black people. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
they never talk like white people. They never talk like they don't acknowledge that they are black. Which was, and again, it might just be me interpreting that scene because I want to interpret that scene that way. But that was just kind of the way I took that scene. I really like that scene because just three black people talking about struggling as human beings in a world that is mostly white people. And I just really like that scene.
Mm.
And Jackson and Eric were kind of dressed similarly. So
Yeah, it's
it
true.
Fair.
was it was a
Fair.
nicely
Jackson's very
crafted.
good. Jackson, the actor, not the character. Good looking man. I need to
Okay.
specify that.
But yeah,
You
I
did
mean,
in the first two
yeah,
episodes.
yeah, as you've said it a few times.
I need to specify it again.
So I mean, I think your point about why it was good that Eric found them is actually good. I think, yeah, I think I became heavily invested in the Jackson storyline this season, and I for obvious reasons, and um and I didn't want like their history to be betrayed. I didn't want the history that Jackson and Carl had,
Ah, yeah, yeah.
because the reason he finds them is because that's the spot they used to share last season. That's the spot they used to go
Mm.
to. So like,
Go
but
to all the
you're right
time, yeah.
that it's good that Eric's, because as we all know, or maybe we don't all know, but sometimes it's easier to talk to someone that is not that close to the situation. It's easier to unburden them because you don't feel that kind of guilt or pressure or whatever. By the way, I like how that scene played out in the end. Okay, we're running long, so let's quickly move on to Otis and Maeve, and then we'll talk about Maeve. So Otis and Maeve break up in a truly incredible and heartbreaking scene. In like, I love when shows.
Jesus Christ.
What did I miss?
Nah,
Did,
Priscilla,
did
do
she
it again. I'm
celebrate
gonna
their
make it.
breakup?
Yeah, bro.
Oh my god, I'm here
It's
like trying
funny
to.
though because Otis and Ruby, you still didn't get that either. So you lost
Yeah.
on both. You lost on
No,
it.
I didn't. After watching,
Do you want me
when I
to?
got into 10 minutes
Do you want me to
episode
replay?
eight.
We have Vieira.
No, 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 no,
I can replay
no. I
what
didn't
you
say
wanted.
no, no. When I was getting 10 minutes into watching episode eight,
Hmm.
and I was seeing Ruby and stuff, and then I was like, oh, you know, what? I actually don't want him with anyone.
Oh yeah, I did.
I
Like, there was never enough time to do a Ruby like go back. I never thought
no,
it
no.
would be pulled
They
off.
very well could have. That last scene,
I don't think we would have
that could have
believed
been
it. It would have been too insulting to Ruby's character. Like,
Fair.
there's
it's
enough time
different.
for Oak to win back Ruby. Basically, that's what
Not
I mean.
win her back, but they could have just said, "Would you go on a date?" And she would have said yes, and we would never have known what would have happened. They could have just done that if they really wanted
True.
to.
True.
I'd have
True.
been
True.
disappointed in Ruby
I'd have been
Why?
disappointed in her, but they could
just
have
because
done
like
that
it's like you've been hurt before and you're going back there.
She's 17. That's the
That
first,
was also
probably one of
true.
the first people that she's had serious crush on.
crush
I
on.
think
It's her first
that's
love.
very that's very fair enough if she's doing things that 30-year-olds still do. So,
I don't mean, yeah, yeah, it's have been understandable. Yes. Okay, so Otis and May break up. Priscilla, calm down.
she was
Um,
about to do a knee slide in front
yeah.
of us.
I was supposed to start
um,
doing this Marcus Rashford.
and then and then they proceed to have what I believe was probably the most intimately shot and crafted sex scene the show has ever done. Like, I might be missing something, but it feels like the first sex scene that they've done. No, I'm sure there are others. I just can't remember them. But like, of
No,
adults
you're right.
in love.
You're right. That was the first
True, I
intimate
think.
sex scene I've seen on a show, and the first one I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think sex
I
education.
hate sex scenes. No, but
Everyone-
not for the reasons you think. Not for the reasons you think. It's just they make me feel like make me feel weird. Because especially on this show, because they're teenagers.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's
So
the
it
thing.
feels a
I
bit.
think a lot of the sex on this show, because they're teenagers, has been very.
Straight up horny.
Yeah, I was gonna say primal, which would have been a weird word to use, but like, yeah, that's straight up horny, straight up like just I'm horny right now, let's have sex. But like this one seemed intentional. This seemed to have
They're
a
in love.
like yes, they knew what they knew it wasn't the start of something, it was the end of something, but it was also like it was almost like we can't not like we have so much love between ourselves that we can't not do this. Like our story cannot end without us not having sex, but expressing our love in the purest form
Yeah,
possible that
they
we
were.
can. It was just
It sounds
the way it was,
cringy. They were
the way,
making love.
yeah. I found the soundbite for the episode. But yeah, I mean, I just felt like the everything, the chemistry between the performers, the like interaction between the characters, like the way they're speaking with their eyes, everything. I was just like, this is a different kind of sex scene that the show is doing, and yeah, it was very well done. But yes, they break up. Maybe said that she's going back to America. Obviously, um, I should mention I had a let me put the caveat like like Priscilla did. I had a big crush on, on Emamaki this season. I don't know what changed, but like I think whatever she was doing this season was like the performance, everything was just really good this season. Chinedu, what are you about to say? I'll cut it, I'll bleep it out.
Let him cook. Oh
join,
my god.
join me. No, I think she was incredible this season. I don't know. I had a really big crush on Emamaki this season. But yeah, so
Man said
maybe
this season, but sure. Break that one out too, sure.
no, no, they're all in there as evidence. No, yeah. I mean, Priscilla. Speaking of, I don't know if I shouldn't give you this opportunity since consider you don't want to apologize to Isaac, but do you want to do your victory lap now? Because you mentioned obviously what multiple Emmy winner Dan Levy was going to say to her about how he is trying to push her, and he says that basically word for word, but at least to our benefit, Chinedu, just like as we said last week, Maeve also kind of called bullshit on all of that. So it was kind of
Yeah.
we're both correct.
Everybody wins.
Yeah, everybody wins.
'Cause I've had a teacher like that. That's why I knew.
Fair.
I've
I
had
hope
a
they
teacher
Yeah,
like
revoked
that.
their license.
yeah. How they're not teaching anymore.
Because
And like
boy.
not to that like, not to what he was
Yeah,
doing, but of
yeah.
a similar thing where he was so like he was so hard on us. But then like we knew that he did it because he cared in a way. He didn't do it in a mean way, if that makes any
Mm,
sense. Like he
Mm-hmm.
was pushing us beyond our ability, not to what she was experiencing,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but he was doing that in a way. But we knew he cared. He was being that strict with us because at the end of the day, like I got my best results under him because he was that
Also,
good
basically
with
all
us.
Nigerian teachers except the cared part.
Worst thing
Except
is,
they
you've
don't
only
care.
been
They just do it because they because they
Just for
want
fun.
for
He gives
fun.
them a kick.
yeah, because I remember like when we spoke to him afterwards, because we were like, "Sir, like, why were you like moving like the Darth Vader? Like, what was going on?"
Yeah.
And he was like, because he was so happy with all our results, like he was dead. I thought he was gonna cry at results day because he was so happy with our results. But he said I did it
Mm,
because I cared about you lot, and I could see you
yeah.
guys. If I let you guys slack for 1 minute, you would have
Mhm.
taken the reins of it and run. Because my class, even though it was a top set class, we used to take the piss.
Mm-hmm,
So we're one of those classes where like you have to really keep us at a level of
mm-hmm,
productivity. If you don't keep us at that level, you're not going to get anything from us. That was always our class. This we had the same classes, pretty much nearly all of us.
mm,
So I knew that's where he was going with it, but he was not this is how I know he's an author and not an experienced lecturer.
mm.
Because an experienced lecturer would know when to pull back. As soon as you do the
Yeah.
first sentence, as soon as it goes wrong, you go, okay, because it's adaptive teaching, you just change how you do it for someone. Like if there's a therapy session with someone, like I used to do therapy different for different people. There's some people you can be not blunt, but slightly more to the point with.
Mm-hmm,
And then if there's someone who I can't do that with, I won't do it with them because that's not going to work. Like if someone's been burnt quite a few times and has basically come through fighting, I'm not going to be blunt and to the point with them. They don't need that. They need an arm around the shoulder, a bit of
mm.
someone talking to them and coaching them to get them the confidence to then let them do it. And that's what Maeve needed. She just needed an arm around the shoulder and telling
Yeah.
her, like, you know what, you're good enough to be here. Your work's amazing. Stop stressing. You're all good. It's
And she got
fine.
that from Jean.
And she got that from
Um,
Jean. Jean did it. Jean's a psychologist. Jean's a therapist. So Jean actually gave her what she actually needed, which is that. Because I think sometimes teachers do this thing where they have big good cop and bad cop,
mm-hmm,
and they don't know how to marry the two together. Jean was being quite blunt with Maeve, but she was doing it in a loving way. And she was meeting Maeve to where she was, which is why Maeve was more receptive to it. If you're coming in all guns blazing, and why is she gonna listen to you?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you're telling her you cared. Why is she gonna believe you cared? You didn't treat her like you cared.
Yeah.
I
I
mentioned.
mean,
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
no, I was just gonna say it was horrible. But if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, he did say like it's kind of scary, seeing them
Mm,
at the start of their careers. So I guess you could see where he really wanted to mold them. He was probably over passionate.
I mean,
Um,
that's. That's the benefit of being a TV character because no human being is saying that in real life. No person is admitting
Fair,
that they're
fair
afraid of
enough.
the younger generation coming. That's why they're like being so blunt and rude and everything.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I mean, I mentioned earlier about how I think TV characters are good because they get to be more articulate than they need to be. Like Maeve is a 17-year-old, but she doesn't speak like one. And there's some lines she has, I haven't wrote them some down. Like she says to him, she says, unlike most students on this campus, I haven't been brought up being told I'm brilliant and deserving. So if I take a risk and it doesn't pan out, I don't have a safety net. Ellipses. And she goes, you don't like, you can't treat every student like that. You don't get to be the gatekeeper of my dreams. Those are her exact words. And I just think like,
Exactly.
again, it's like so articulate. Yeah, it's word. But like it's not a 17-year-old speaking, but like that's the point of TV. Like she gets to say those things that that's those are the words coming out of a 30-year-old writer who has been through therapy and like knows what they're saying. Like, but again, it can work because that's what TV is for. Um any final thoughts on Maeve before we go to Otis? I mean, this is the final, this is the end of the show. I don't know. Anything you want to touch on Maeve?
Do you know? I will say I really loved that moment between Maeve and Jean.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really liked it. Like I think
yeah, same.
it was nice to see Maeve actually get the motherly love and care that she's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
wanting this entire
yeah,
time.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that Jean gave Maeve the advice suited for Maeve. Maeve needed to go back to the States.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like
yeah,
she could have been selfish and be like, I want my son to be happy. You stay here. And Maeve would have listened to her. Maeve actually would have listened to her because she had Maeve at the palm of her hands with the advice she was giving her.
yeah,
If she said to me, Maeve, Jean said to Maeve, stay, Maeve would have stayed, thinking it's the
Mm-hmm.
right advice. For Jean to say, you know what, like I want you to make the best decision for yourself, that I feel like that's probably the first time Maeve's actually hearing it. Like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what, you're the author of your own story. You pick where you want to go. If that's in the States, that's in the States. And if that means my son gets hurt, my son gets hurt. But I'm happy you've made that decision for
yeah.
yourself. You don't want to regret it. So I'm happy that Maeve got that. I've been waiting for her to get some love somewhere, and she got it. So I can
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah. Any final
Also,
thoughts on
I'd
Maeve?
just like
Yeah.
to add to that is just like this is not on me, but Jean is very caring. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
she is very caring, and I love that she showed that time and time again this season. She might come across a bit too overprotective, and but she she is very human, and I like how caring she is about like other people around her.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the criticism at her, mostly from Otis, before would have probably been that she's more caring to her patients than to her family. But I think that's kind of been her journey. She's obviously now a lot more focused, family oriented, and trying to
Hmm.
be that good mom and good sister and
Yeah.
good partner and things like that. Okay, we're gonna do Otis, and then we've spoken about Otis and Eric, so we're gonna do Otis, and then we'll do Eric. Um, I think Otis will be okay. I mean, Priscilla mentioned Otis earlier about how this kind of his journey to not be so anxiety riddled, and we finished the show with the shot of him as we leave his bedroom, and yeah, I think he'll be okay. I don't know if he'll pass his A levels because I still don't know if anybody in this place is smart apart from Viv. But I guess he will pass the one that what he needs for. What do you have to do? What do you have to take, Priscilla, to study? What do you study in uni? Psychology, psychiatry.
yeah, it'd be psychology, yeah. Because
So
to
what do
be
you
a
what?
psychiatry, to be a psychologist, you'd have to do 3 years of a BPS psychology degree. Then you would do an assistant psychologist, which is what I was doing.
What are your A
Then
levels?
A levels, you can come into it doing sciences or psychology. They're not too
Uh
fast, to be honest.
okay,
Um,
you'll be
but
fine.
I'm
Otis will
guessing
be
he
fine.
was doing psychology. Otis seems quite smart, so
Oh
I presume he'd probably get B's or something. So he'll probably be fine.
yeah, he'll be. I'm sure he'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, and Chido, do you want to talk about Otis before we leave him?
Um. No, I mean, I I like the fact that he owned up to his faults.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like his growth. Um, and I love the friendship that he has with Eric. Honestly, he is going to be okay. He was one of my favorite characters throughout the entire show. Obviously, he is a protagonist, but like I just enjoy seeing him on screen. And yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. I'm just really proud
Hmm.
of him. I feel like a
Yeah.
proud older brother. Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's do Eric. So,
Actually, I
Eric's
didn't get to say my
storyline.
let me say my piece about Otis
Oh, okay.
before we
Sorry,
move on
I thought
to
we had.
my.
Okay.
I didn't get to say my piece on Otis. That's my
Yes.
dog. I want to say no. I want to say this thing. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
I don't often like protagonists on shows.
Okay.
It rarely ever happens.
Except for Kendall
He's
Roy.
Kendall Roy is my only one. I have
Okay.
two. Kendall Roy and Jon Snow are the only two that I've ever loved. But Otis has got a place in my heart,
Fair.
and I'm so happy. Like, do you know what? Actually, piggyback on what you said, I'm really happy that he actually said his faults. And I knew he
Mm.
was uncomfortable with everything. I told you guys, I knew it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was
I
so funny
knew
that
it.
he used that exact word, and I was like, "Oh, Priscilla actually said this." Like
No,
that
I
Yeah,
knew
exact
it
yeah,
word.
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
my friends, I remember like being in uni and some of the lads said something like this, the exact wording,
Fair.
uncomfortable. And I sensing that energy. I was like,
So
you're with it.
he's not uncomfortable that Eric is gay. He's uncomfortable that he might not be able to understand Eric being gay.
That's the thing that I think sometimes people forget when you're the straight friend of the gay person or the bi or whoever it is,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
wherever you may fall
mm-hmm.
in that this community. I think sometimes you think that you know everything because you're friends with that person and
Yeah.
you love them and you're open and you don't judge. But then there's some self-policing you have to do. Like my very best friend in the entire world is gay. Half of my friendship group is by one is non-binary, and I like to think I'm very well versed and like
Yeah.
I'm very non-judgmental and loving, and I'm a massive ally. But then I have to self-police myself as
Mm-hmm.
well. Just because I know things and I'm maybe if there was the ally Olympics, maybe I'll get silver. I don't know, but but I don't know everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes, like sometimes people don't talk about this. I never experienced this, but there is an element of uncomfortability because you don't understand, especially when that person finds their village.
Mm.
Because sometimes when you're the only person that knows them, you feel like that's my person.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the element of we're getting older and we're changing, and then now they found their tribe. What's the point of them hanging out with me anymore?
Mm-hmm.
And the uncomfortability of that feeling of not knowing them as much anymore, uncomfortability of like their life and their choices, like truly self-policing. Like, am I as open and non-judgmental as I think I am? Or am I 60% non-judgmental and there's a 40% of me that's slightly conservative in my way of thinking that I need to challenge? Like, not
Mm-hmm.
everyone is, you know, not everyone's fully there yet, and it's a journey.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy that Otis at 17 years old was able to self-police himself that people at
Mhm.
25, 30, 35, even 50 and 60 can't do. For a 17-year-old to be like, you know what, like I have certain feelings of being uncomfortable and I need to tackle that because there's no way that I'm going to be able to have a proper friendship with this guy, with my very best friend, unless I tackle that. And I was happy he acknowledged that himself first and was working on it, then told him,
Mm-hmm.
and didn't make Eric feel guilty for it either. Made it clear to Eric it's not your fault. This is just my stupid thing that I've got to deal with and I'm
Mm-hmm.
dealing with. And I still want, but I still want you to invite me to these things. I need to confront that feeling. So yeah, I was happy. Otis is my little meow meow. He's there with Kendall Roy now.
Jesus Christ. What a combination of white men.
Bro.
Kendall, Jon Snow, and Otis.
Kendall Roy
Um,
should
let's
have
not. I'm not
joined
doing
the
this.
company.
Yeah. I mean, I like the fact that their storyline ends with them playing. I can't remember what game they were playing. It wasn't Mario. Was it
Smash
Smash Bros?
Bros.
Smash
Smash
Bros.
Bros. Yeah. So like, yeah, I don't remember if they did that in earlier seasons, but it feels like something they've been doing, probably been doing for years. Um. Okay. So Eric. Eric's own personal storyline ends with him basically becoming the black gay John the Baptist. I feel like God basically tells him to go and like
Hmm.
lead her people, and like so he wants to be a pastor, or he's planning on being a pastor. And so Eric's scene is the scene that almost broke me at the baptism.
Mm.
And I don't even know if it would have been worse. I don't think it would have been if it would have been worse if nobody said like I love you. Like his mom, when his mom stood up and was like, I love you, my son. That was I don't cry at stuff, which has been a whole it has plagued many of my walks at night. I wonder if I'm losing my emotions. But like at this one, like my eyes welled up. I don't know if it was I don't know what it was, but like that scene, just like obviously his shoot is very good in that scene. Like you can see him crying. He's very good in that scene. But then when his mom stands up and is like, I love you, my son, as you are, I was like, oh my god. And please I ask everyone, if you're listening to this right now, just go up, load Netflix, watch that scene again. There is a woman behind Eric's mom that is doing the best acting this show has ever seen. Please, you guys think I'm joking, I'm sure, but like this background actor is doing incredible work. Please, please,
She
please
wanted more
pay,
work.
pay,
What did
pay
she do,
background
please? I
actors,
didn't.
no
What
AI.
did she?
Bro, the way she's moving in this scene is so Nigerian. Like she's like from her face, you can see her say, Shebi, I told you, this Effion, what they do in that house. Like, from the moment Eric's like, I want to say something, like her face, oh my god, you guys think I'm exaggerating, but please go watch this scene. You can see, like, she's talking to the person beside her, like she's trying not to laugh. I was just like, oh my god, where have you found this woman from? She's so good at this scene. And like she's right, like she's acting like she knows what secret Eric's about to say. Like they've been gossiping about it, which they probably have because they're black women in it. They're black Nigerian women in the church. Let's be honest. So they probably been gossiping about it. And please, you guys think I'm exaggerating? Just go back and watch this scene. It's so good. But
Oh
yeah,
my
this
god.
scene broke me. I there's so many parts where I didn't even understand. Like Shooty's acting is so good that I couldn't decipher. Like when he walks away and he looks at his mom, I couldn't really decipher what he was saying there. Was he like, I told you, or was he disappointed in her? It was just a weird, but it was just again that was just so layered, and I just really, really, really like that scene. Um, and then obviously that leads to God, Jodie Turner Smith coming back and telling him to go and lead her people, and then he says that he wants to be a pastor. Uh, Jodie, you mentioned Eric earlier, so what are your thoughts on this storyline or the end of
Um,
Eric's storyline?
um, I love the fact that he didn't compromise himself
Mm-hmm.
or who he
Hmm.
is. You know, I feel like a lot of times, like
What?
I feel like a lot of times, like religion makes us feel like we need to really um just compromise on who you are. And
Mm,
I love that. And I love that it is a relationship between Eric and God. I can't come and tell Eric what his
Mm.
relationship it should be between him and God.
mm-hmm.
And yeah,
But.
no, for real. And I really enjoyed. And another thing that I enjoyed was how realistic. Honestly, sex education does a good job of taking us outside of society. Obviously, we've spoken about how, like, they use weird cars and we don't know what year it is. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, it's such a reflection of society that, like, at that moment in time, the church was so lost, they didn't know what to do, and it is how it would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that, we didn't get, how will I put it, like, we didn't have some fake pretend love that we know he wouldn't get.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just happy for his growth. And the pastor thing shook me, but if that's his calling and if that makes him
I
happy,
mean, yeah, if that's his calling, if
go
that's his
for
calling.
it.
It
Like,
surprised
honestly,
me,
man.
definitely. It surprised me, but if that's his calling, then yeah.
I literally
Because
paused it like,
I feel like there are
eh?
different steps. I feel like there are things we can do before pastor, but if that's what God is telling you to do, then like there's outreach program, there's like volunteering.
Oh
Like pastor
my
seems like the extreme
god.
step, but If that's what we. I mean, my
Shout
only
out to his mom, Sha. Like
shout out to his mom. Shout out to. I think
that was very like lovely
What a
of her to.
wonderful mum.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I think we
and
know as Africans. Sorry, but like as Africans who have either been to church or go to church regularly, we know what it means
mhm,
for his mom to stand up in that church and like
yeah,
fully back him like that. Like obviously you think,
yeah,
oh, of course she should do it. She's his son, and yeah, maybe she should,
yeah,
but like, oh, he's her son. But like, just like we know what that means. We know that could
yeah.
be that could be excommunicado from the society, from the church. Like,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly,
hmm
She's
exactly. And she
getting
still did
Thanos
it
snapped from
anyways.
that church.
She
exactly.
still did it anyways. No,
Yeah.
and not to go away from Eric, but parents have really shown up this season.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
Fair. That's a good. Ooh.
parents have
Word.
really
Oh,
shown up
that's
this season.
that's that's actually very
Yes,
wow.
Hal's mum, Otis's mum, with Otis
Yeah,
and Maeve.
Yeah.
they
Um,
have
they all have, man.
Wow.
Mr.
Yeah.
Gruff.
Obviously the
Mr.
Groffs.
Groff,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Joy's
even
dad.
his Groff's mum as well.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. The Groffs. Both of
She
them. Yeah.
advocated for
they've
Adam the
shown
entire time.
they've
Yeah.
shown amazing growth, and I was thinking, bro,
Wow.
I might want to spin this tape for a couple of people. I'm not gonna lie.
Just like
No, because you
let
know
me show you
what?
the
Yeah,
highlights package. What you look at your
yeah,
mates? They have two heads. What-
they have two heads
they have
exactly.
two heads.
No, because
Oh,
you
that's
know
actually
what?
that's a good
Like
point. Wow. Yeah. Sorry.
Eric, ooh, Eric, oh. You know, I said I almost cried quite a few times. This was another one
Mm. Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah,
it everything Chinedu said is basically what I was gonna say. Like, I think it was really good that Eric came to his own conclusion
Yeah.
and that he said, you know what, like it doesn't mean he's gonna stop going to church completely or stop believing in God or stop anything. It's just this specific church isn't right for him.
Yeah.
It's not right for what he
yeah,
wants, and he'll find a
yeah,
place where it is, and he's gonna create his own space. And I think
Yeah.
that's great. And as Shinji said, it is your own relationship with God. When that trumpet sounds and the rapture happens, it's you and God.
Yeah.
He ain't you in the church.
yeah.
So,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? But I was really happy that Eric's mum, I've been waiting for her to have this come to Jesus, no pun intended, moment. She almost had it at the end of last season, almost had it the season before when he went to Nigeria and everything.
But she's like
But
I mean, she's known he's been open to her all this while now, hasn't?
No, it's not that. Like he's been open to her, but she's not done this when you fully openly
Fully, yeah,
support
hundred
him.
percent, yeah,
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 She's
100%, yeah,
privately supported him, which is great and nice, and he needs that. And his sisters always have been supportive, but he needed that publicly.
yeah,
It's one thing to back your son in private, it's great. But like a lot of African parents, they may probably have no problems with it. But to publicly say out loud in front of everyone in a community that's very judgmental, in a church that's very judgmental, I
yeah,
love you as you are,
yeah.
was so
I really love
needed,
that
and I was
scene.
happy
I
that
really love that scene.
I really and shoot is my people them, same tribe and that. So guys, you better watch Doctor Who. Like I'm so if you never watched Doctor Who, please watch the
Wait,
Angels
is it
episode.
literally your same tribe? You guys are from the same tribe, literally?
Same tribe,
Oh
yeah.
mad,
Oh, I actually thought that was figuratively. Fair
yeah,
enough.
oh mad, wow,
Same tribe, yeah. But literally, guys, like if you've never watched Doctor Who and you're like, oh, I want to watch the Black Doctor Who, and you're probably wondering, is it something I'm going to be into? Please watch the Angels episode of Doctor Who with David Tennant. It's one of the best pieces of television you'll ever watch in your life. Billy Piper's in it. If you're into milk,
if
she's
somebody
good
wanted to
milk.
watch Doctor Who, but when it's how many episodes per series? Three,
Uh
four?
if I was going to be honest, yeah, I would tell people to start with Eccleston
So is it Eccleston
because
and Smith, or Smith and
Eccleston, Tennant, Smith,
oh,
then
okay,
Capaldi, and then Jodie.
Jodie Whittaker, fair enough,
Yeah, so but Eccleston's very good. David Tennant's early seasons are some of the best TV, and plus the Russell Davies, who obviously did it's not a sin, and
hmm
who wrote some of the best TV for Doctor Who, is back with this season with Shooty. So
yeah,
for this current season with him, so please watch it, guys. Like honestly, we need to back it. And Russell's a good writer, so like Shooty's not going to be giving trash. He's going to be giving the good stuff again.
yeah.
And it'd be nice to
Um,
see a prominent black character on TV, on
mhm.
primetime BBC, who isn't Idris Elba playing Luther. It'd be very nice.
That's Jesus Christ, is that? Is Luther the only
Think of one.
black-led
There's no
BBC?
one.
Oh my god,
It's Luther. That's it.
it's actually just Luther. That's the only like wow. Yeah, because you have
That show's finished.
Sherlock. You have wow. Fair enough. Okay. Um. No disrespect to these people because we all love them, but there's only so much time we have. We're just gonna really be very quick with the next few characters. I think we should start with Jackson. Um. Jackson finds out the truth about his parentage, and he finds out that his mom had an affair with a married man and it was never like a donor situation, which I think we all kind of suspected when we were talking about last episode. That just his mom's reaction did not feel like a donor situation. She didn't want this guy to know. She didn't want Jackson to know his dad. Again, it's kind of thing like it's very resolved, and I don't know if there's any thoughts anyone want to speak about this scene. It was just nice to have
What
these
a
guys come together.
deadbeat.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing goes without saying.
That's all I have to say. Deadbeat.
Yeah, there isn't much to say there, but yeah, I mean, you can understand, even though it's not the right decision why his parents
Hey,
kept it
yo,
from
there's no
him.
understanding for me.
No, no, not him. No, no,
Deadbeat.
no, not the dad. No, please, you can't
Bro,
understand the deadbeat. Oh my god, that's not my
I'm
legacy.
so dead.
No, I mean, I could say you can understand why his mom's kept it from him, even though like I don't think it's the right decision. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. It's just another emotional sequence. Him finding out and then like him reading the letter. All of that is just again, like I said, this episode was just like my heart was in a vice grip throughout. Just like let me
Bro,
breathe, let
bro,
me
let
breathe,
the poor breathe.
let me breathe. Like I'm just tired. This is too much. But I don't know. Like again, we can just go to Viv unless anyone has any thoughts on the Jackson storyline they want to do. I should commend the
no,
actor,
let's go straight to my sister because I got so much to
Viv.
say on that mistress way. So much to say.
Jeez.
The way she said that
Boom,
mixed with sounded
boom.
like a slur.
It's
Bro,
that Bournemouth player. I've got so much to say.
wait, wait, wait.
So he fits in with the Solankes and the Billings and
He fits in with
Oh
Eddie
my
Howe's
God, please
repertoire.
don't kill me.
oh
I
Fits
did
my
not know
with
god.
that. I know that biracial was a quota
It was
of being a bomb
okay.
player.
Can I just say something that is not about Viv in the Viv section first? Let me
Yeah.
start with it, then we'll go fully on Viv. 'Cause I don't want to center the man in Viv's storyline. But Jackson's a better man than I am, man. The way Jackson let her handle the situation. He never like came in. He never like
Oh,
attacked
oh,
Bo.
oh,
I
oh,
was like,
oh. Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like,
I was
fair
like,
enough, man.
this is
Fair
very good.
enough.
Yeah,
Which
like,
is why, back to
That's
your earlier point, I think they have a better handle of Jackson, which is why I don't think he would have centered himself in the cow thing.
yes.
Because I didn't want to mention this back then, but yeah, the fact that he never attacks Bo, he never like says, well, she said you should stop or whatever, which is probably what I would have done. Let
he
me be
said what
honest.
he needed to say, and when she was like, sorry, Siri just came up, but when she was like, that he's cool, like she kind of
Yeah,
defended him.
that she
He was
texted him.
like,
He was
yeah,
like,
fair
he's
enough,
like,
and then like he just let her handle the
but
situation, and
and he was like,
obviously
don't
she
text
always
him.
knows that if she ever needs him, he's always there. Like
Hmm.
he didn't remove his availability whatsoever. So
And there were some times that he just like, again, I'm sure this is a combination of the writing and the directing and the performances, but like there's sometimes where he just like held her hand,
But this is
like,
what we
and I'm just like,
call
that's just so cool. Like he
this is
just
what we
touched her, just
call
like
a
I'm
good
here.
friendship. He's a good
Hmm.
yeah,
friend
Hmm.
because I
yeah,
think sometimes, and sometimes I want to do it as well. When your friend's in a situation like that, you want to be captain. I don't want to say save a hoe, but captain save a pal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And you
yeah.
want to
You
go
call Viv a
all
hoe,
in.
it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Carry on.
I ain't calling her that.
You said Viv is a
That's
hoe.
my
No, that's
kin.
just fine. That's fine. That's what you
That's
said.
my
Just continue. Just
sister.
continue.
I ain't calling her that. But I think it's really important that I think what he did very well at 17, blimey, was he gave her agency
bro.
to make her decision. And I was
Hmm.
happy
Hmm.
that everyone, Amy, Isaac, gave her agency, told her, like, this isn't right, but
Yeah,
you make the
Mm-hmm,
decision.
mm-hmm.
Like, they made it clear whether that Bournemouth Eddie Howe you were saying wasn't right.
yeah.
Because I hate that guy so much. Ew! Joy is here. He's the right sort of swarmy that what is not noticeable. And I was happy they showed this. It's not a noticeable one. because people tend to
He's a
think
nerd. He's like,
he's the
yeah.
nerd, nice guy. Them men are scary. I don't care what anyone took. They're scary. They're scary because sometimes, yeah, I think these shows sometimes tend to go for the obvious. It's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go for the obvious because the obvious does happen a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Statistics
yeah,
show, but there is a subsection of men, these nerds that people think, oh, you know, the nice guys finish last people. He's one of them. He's one of them.
I,
He's one of them. And those men scare me because what happens is when you then say your piece, no one believes you because they're like, oh,
yeah.
surely can't, not
yeah,
him.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was happy they showed it because I need people to open their eyes wide. If they
I
can't
love
open their eyes, go
how
to Vision Express.
Jesus Christ. Specsavers. I love how like immediately he was out there, like the show just doubled down on like he's terrible. Like those
Yeah,
texts are
he's
like
a
He's a
worry.
stereotypical.
nasty man.
They sent like they went to dictionary and got the examples. I just sent all the text like I can't handle myself around you. What did he say again? I'm sorry. What? No, he said what he said first thing he said
Yeah,
was like, I'm sorry you felt bad. Something like that. I was like, oh, they're doing
The
they're doing case
gaslighting,
study.
the gaslighting was Messi 2022 World Cup level of gaslighting. I've never seen anything like it, man. You're 17. How do you know that language?
Oh, he was. But yeah, no, and I'm gonna say that, I mean, we mentioned it, and I'm not to say that anyone that is forward or proactive is not even proactive, but forward is bad. But like we mentioned it last year, like this boy is a bit quick. Like let's like something here doesn't work out.
Something
fam.
Like
didn't see. I
these
told
flags
you
are
lot.
amber at
One
best.
kiss,
I
then can you be my girlfriend? What
I
the hell?
told you, man. Yeah, there was something was sitting right in my spirit with him. Something
But
was sitting right.
something sad that I thought about. Viv was so academically focused. The thought of a man was something wild.
They're not even
Hmm.
I
triggered.
don't
Didn't
know
trigger
if she
herself.
would be able to go and have another. Obviously, the show has ended, but
No,
I
I get
don't know
what
if she'll be
you're
able to
sorry.
have another relationship again anytime soon.
No, but she had one last season though. Like the long distance, very good looking guy. So like I don't think it's
Oh
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
just
get what I think it will affect her. I don't think she will come out unscathed. But she's
yeah,
also
yeah,
young, which is a
she
good thing.
won't come out.
fair,
I
fair,
mean,
fair.
because this will have a very big impact on her because the male in her life have been quite positive. Even
Yeah.
that boyfriend, I don't think they
True.
broke up in a mad way.
No, they
Jackson,
broke up just to
Otis,
focus on schoolwork.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jackson, Otis, Eric, all these guys, especially Jackson, have all been positive influences. And
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
the
True.
and I think what people don't understand more is from personal experience is that when you got the bad guy who treats you bad, it's one thing. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I should have known. Like, do you know what I mean? When it's someone who you didn't perceive as a threat,
Mm.
and then they do it to you, yo, it triggers you like no, because you're like, wait, like then who is okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
deliberately avoid the bad person, and you go for the guy who's studious, who's got everything ticking, and then even then that happens to you. Basically, they're saying, what is it? All men are blood clots, whatever that poster says on Little Miss Jocelyn. She was right. She was right.
Uh,
All men are mad. You guys need to be put in prison as soon as you're born and you work your way out.
fairs,
Jesus
In my
Christ.
dictatorship,
fairs.
in my dictatorship,
So
that will happen.
we're working
Fairs.
to prove our fair enough. You know, I
You
can't
have
even
to work
argue
to
with
prove
you.
your
How
innocence.
how do you prove yourself in prison?
You
Just
ain't
out
gonna
of
ever prove it to
curiosity.
me, so you stay there.
Yeah, because Priscilla is not going to forgive Isaac, so I don't think she can forgive any man. I feel like she's just like, no, you just stay there.
Show me, yeah. As soon as you cross a boundary for me, I put you out of my head.
She's
You're gone. I don't
Oh
joke.
my god.
yeah. I mean,
But
it's
no,
so
I
interesting.
felt sorry for I felt so sorry for
Hmm.
Viv though because you know what really
Definitely.
I was shaken up a bit. You know how scared she was.
Yeah,
She was so scared to tell him to go away,
yeah,
and then when she found the strength with
yeah,
everyone behind supporting her, and she looked at Jackson, I was so happy she gained her strength because the way she was scared was making me cry. I said, "God,
yeah.
do
It
you
was
feel
terrible, man.
that level of fear, like that,
Yeah.
yo, wherever he is, I hope he's in a ditch, and I hope
I thought
someone
she was
shits on
gonna.
it."
I thought she
And
was
I
gonna
hope someone
feel.
throws fire on
Oh
it,
my, oh
petrol
my
bomb
god,
it.
Jesus Christ! I thought she was going to fail her mocks because of that experience, and that was when I was really,
And
really,
I'm
really
happy they
tired.
didn't do that. I'm happy they didn't do that.
Because if the fire alarm was not pulled, she would have failed those mocks because she was not in that
She
Yeah.
exam
was
hall.
not in the.
So I'm so happy that didn't happen. I would have been very, very devastated if that happened. But yeah, I mean, she got the courage. Hopefully, it's like to your point. Hopefully, this is something that she can notice the signs in future. And it doesn't scar her permanently from
Yeah.
men.
Yeah.
It's just something that
But
is a
Yeah.
learning curve. Hopefully,
some men, like,
Yeah. No, I'm
I
not
mean,
saying.
there's this guy had no signals until the last
true,
second. Do you know what I
true,
mean?
true, true.
Like she did everything, and then like you could excuse away everything. Like he asked me too fast. Maybe he's been into me the entire time. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes that works. Sometimes I've never experienced this myself, but sometimes someone asks someone out after a day and it works out for them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And they have a nice, funny little story. So I think
yeah. But if
what
you're
the show,
using two, three things, then I mean that's too many things to excuse. Maybe
obviously,
they're
when
using
it's
the
two
excuse
full
many things.
things,
Yeah.
yeah, I think what
He
the show
asked too
did,
early. He's jealous.
yeah,
He's
is I think that
possessive.
was
You're like,
later
okay,
on though, because he got
yeah.
her.
No, I agree with you. Oh no, I mean for
Yeah,
future relationships. Not with but with Bo, it's done. Like
no,
there's nothing she could have
because I
Yeah.
done.
because I think what I want her to do is I hope she finish her A levels. Hope she enjoys herself. Take some time out for her. Do fun things for Viv. You know what I
Viv is going
mean?
to
Yeah.
Cambridge. She doesn't have time for that for fun.
Yeah, no, you can have fun. Like have fun. Obviously, doesn't mean like getting drunk or whatever. Like just do something you like doing once a week. Because I don't think Viv's ever done anything for herself,
Mm-mm. Mm.
Yeah.
truly. So maybe let her do that. You know, you keep being best friends with Jackson. Maybe he'll hook you up with one of his little friends.
Priscilla said
That's
if they're not gonna get together, I'll settle for.
They're not gonna get together.
yeah.
Let him get friends.
Um, yeah. Now I think let's just. Any final thoughts on the Viv situation?
Mhm.
No, I mean, yeah, it's just glad she got her that so quick.
Yeah. 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 Chinedu, can I break your heart with 7 words?
Go on.
But I quite like to hug you. Ah, Gruff Senior to Gruff Junior.
Bro,
Yeah.
I was literally like, I literally had to just firm it, firm it like a big man because
You know what
it
your
came
house was
out of.
asking? What's making noise in that room? Why are you crying on a Tuesday night?
Oh my god! On a Friday night as well. That was when I
Oh,
watched it.
that's even
That would
worse.
have been miserable. But I think I guess it hit me more just because it came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm.
it was just like, oh, he hugged the horse, and he's like, nah. Because when immediately he said nah, I thought, okay, he hasn't gotten to that stage of like being emotional and being in touch with his
Yeah.
emotions, and then he goes, "Can I hug you?" And I can't talk anymore. You guys just going to carry on, man. Like,
Chin afraid of crying on the podcast.
no, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm
I'm good.
dead.
But
Oh,
it was an amazing scene. Like I
yeah,
loved it. It was
yeah.
great, man.
I mean,
And
they've done such good
I
work.
think
Both those
we've spoken
actors.
about it on the pod before, but they just sell you that father son relationship just
Yes,
because of
so
how
good.
well they act in terms of like their mannerisms and stuff.
Less
So
than
it's
30 years between them, I'm pretty sure. So I guess it works.
fam.
Yeah, they are father and son. I don't know how the casting worked, but those guys, like, you're like,
It's
yeah.
amazing. It's
I think,
amazing.
I mean, this is not coincidence, but like he was riding that horse the way Adam rode the horse the first time. Like the way, that's just acting is so
Bro.
cool, man. Anyways, Priscilla, yeah, thoughts on the Gruffs?
That got to me so bad. Yo, I could not believe that got to me. I was like, oh, I literally was telling myself, you need to actually grow up. You're 25.
Fam.
Why you guys stop yourselves
Fam.
from
You
feeling emotions?
no, because in my head I'm like, you have a healthy relationship with your father. Why are you getting upset?
You're like, this doesn't even affect you. Why are you entering this
Like, this is not in your ministry.
Ah,
I was getting, I was finding myself getting so upset. I'm like, I can't relate to this feeling. Like, this has never happened to me. So why am I getting emotional? But it was so nice seeing them hug. I can't believe I was crying over men hugging. Can you imagine?
You know,
And do you
both
know
of
what's
them are so
the worst thing is?
stiff.
yeah.
Yeah, they're so stiff. They play, the typical British dad, white British son, so well. The whole, you're all right, mate, but they don't know how to hug.
Did have you hugged your dad?
Yes, I have.
I don't think I have. I probably have maybe once or
Look,
twice.
yeah, luckily I have.
Do you know what? This must be
I'm
weird
going
because
to see him in a
my
couple of weeks, and I would hug him as well.
Is it
So
like a
this
full?
is
Is it like a full hug, front hug?
I don't think it's full.
Yeah, I think I've done a
But
side hug, but I don't think I've
really.
done a full front
like,
hug.
we
See,
have done before, but I think if I see him in a couple of weeks, it's going to be sad.
this is so weird because my dad is such an affectionate man. Like he's always
Yeah,
with me and my brother and my sister. He hardly that's what he is. Like he's probably the only one in my out of his siblings who is. But he's the same as my granddad used to be the same. Like, he's just overly affectionate. So whenever people say that that's
I
I'm like,
think it's
my
just
dad's the odd one out. I think because he's the odd one out. Because I don't think like he hugs my brother so much. Like my brother's like, get off as a
Yeah.
joke because he
fair.
does it that
I
much.
mean, I'm not personally a hugger, but that's a that's why entering nature versus nurture territory there now. I don't know if I was born like that, that's just my society made me.
I
Um
was gonna say that. I was gonna say maybe it's like a father-son thing, but then Priscilla said her dad hugs her brother. So, yeah,
it's a
Yeah,
Nigerian
there's a reason why I
typical
didn't use
Nigerian father
me.
son thing.
There's a reason why I didn't use me because I'm a girl, and there's always like a dad
yeah,
daughter thing. But
yeah.
he's like that with my brother.
I mean,
Fair.
not to be not to generalize, but I'm pretty sure like the average of people that grew
Yeah,
up in
like if
Nigeria,
you do a survey, the
yeah, it's
percentage of
No,
probably
that's what I'm
Nigerian
saying. That's
fathers
why
that hug their sons
yeah, it's very
is quite
African
low.
dads, African dads
even
don't
the
do
like
that.
yeah, this is
African
not
dads
like
don't do it.
this is not an indictment on my relationship with my
No,
dad or
like
anything. I'm just
that's
saying
what I'm
like even
saying.
the
I'm
best
being genuinely.
relationships is still like
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
African dads don't do that. Like that's what I always say to my dad's probably a dime in a dozen. because that's because my stepdad isn't like that. He's more of a jokey guy. Like he'd do something
yeah.
for that to service.
Yeah.
That would be his way of showing.
Yeah. Um yeah, I mean the Gruffs, they did it, they pulled I mean look, that's honestly I'm looking at the clock and I feel like if I start pulling the thread of that Gruff situation, we'll be here for another hour. So let's just but like yeah, is that thing is Priscilla mentioned something, it's like I have a good relationship with my dad, why am I even why is it getting emotional? But I think Gruff Senior is very has parts of him that are very typical of a Nigerian parent. I don't think I think most of our parents who are the good ones, obviously they're terrible parents, but most of our parents who are the good ones are not maybe not don't bully as much as he did. But like, there's some things that are there. There's some things that like they get angry when you don't live up to your potential, when you do succeed, and they
Mhm.
take it out in a way that you're like, whoa, chill, like and like or they raise certain things so highly, like being I don't know, thinking things through. You get what I mean? I'm just saying like there are things in Groff Senior that like are consistent with a lot of Nigerian parents, African parents, um, strict white parents, and so I don't think it's not impossible to like to find those things. Like I watch them like I can't get those things. Like same way I could get some things from Logan, like Logan Roy, like my dad and Logan Roy are not anywhere close to being the same person. Like Logan Roy is a terrible bully, but but again, you can get there are just some things, right? There's the same way like, there's some things in me and Kendall or whatever, but like in this kind of growth relationship, just things like if I pull on that, I could probably extrapolate a whole relationship that I have with my father. Like he's not a bully like this guy, but I also probably at certain point I'm afraid of him the way Adam's afraid of his dad, or I don't want to disappoint him the way Adam doesn't want to disappoint his dad, and I feel like he reacts too harshly the way Gruff Senior reacts too harshly. And you get those things, and you're like, oh, there's all these things kind of like they're not the same person, but they all kind of have similar ingredients.
Yeah.
But instead of 2 spoons of sugar, we put half a spoon. And instead of cumin, there's oregano. And it's just like, it's just is basic ingredients and just anyway. Just so yeah, there are things I'm like, this is sometimes it used to be too close to home, but also sometimes it's so far off base. But just like it was just a very, very interesting. And there's sometimes again, there's sometimes that I'm like, well, I know I think Grove Senior is actually correct. I think Adam, you're being wrong. And again, I don't know if that's true, if that's correct or not, but it's again, it's part of like my socialization and thinking that these things are what are important or these things are the right way to do things. So
Yeah.
because that's what I have been modeled on, not even at home, but in school, in secondary school, in primary school, whatever. So I think, oh no, Gruff Senior is actually correct here, and Adam is the one wrong. But anyway, yeah, that's a whole different thing. And
Just out of curiosity,
mhm.
did you think Groff Senior was right when he said Adam shouldn't do the farming apprenticeship?
Not right, but I could definitely see his point of view, 100%. Like, yeah,
Fair enough. I
yeah,
expected that.
and yeah, it's just like because of where we come from, it's just kind of the
Yeah.
questions would be like, what are the prospects?
I
What are
mean,
you?
what he said
Those
was
are the
bar for
exact
bar what a
questions.
Nigerian dad would say.
Exactly,
Like,
those are the exact questions that the Nigerian parent will ask you. What are the prospects? What would you do after? Would you just be teaching them how to like ride horses? So yeah, no, I mean, yeah, but I know that's not the healthiest version of events or the healthiest way to look at things
yeah.
because I've been able to like widen my experiences. But at the same time, but that's just I don't know. That's the way we that's the way we grew up, I guess. But yeah, if like it's so Priscilla, back to your original point, I just feel like if it's impossible, well, not impossible, that's a harsh word, but like it would be very surprising if especially male children and their fathers watch that relationship like they don't even see anything that they
Relate to
recognize.
it. Yeah,
Then
it's
I'll
too
just be like,
relatable.
I'll be like, I need to grow up in your house. I need to see what like what experience you had growing up. If nothing here is relatable to you, then that's a different thing. Okay, let's do Amy quickly and then we'll end there. I think we've kind of covered everybody. Priscilla, you said Amy made you cry. Do you want to touch on Amy quickly? Because I feel like rest of us might be it's not a place to talk about Amy.
Do you know what? I think it was really lovely to see her like get to the place she got to at the
Hmm.
end, and it was at her own pace. And
Yeah.
just to see it, she made me cry. It was. I think it was right at the end. It was just seeing her like be happy after the
What with Isaac?
with the man. Um,
Jesus.
but just to no, but just to
Man is
see
Voldemort
her.
now.
Like you think he killed somebody? Sorry, please continue.
But just to see her happy, just
Hmm.
her happy, was moving. Because I'm like, this girl needed something good to happen to her.
Yeah,
Like she really
absolutely.
needed something good to happen to her, and I'd have been, and I'm happy that they did it in the way they did it. That they didn't, she took it at her pace. That Isaac was really understanding about everything.
Hmm.
Probably the best first person you want to be with or to date after a situation like an incident like that happening to you.
Because he
Because
can understand like going at a
yeah,
pace that works.
that works. Because sometimes when you go through something like that, that's already crap, and you're already going through it, and you're trying to, wrestle with it and move on from it and heal from it, and then the next person you meet, whether you talk to them, you date them, you do anything with them, that can then make or break everything.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm,
He's like, damn again,
mm,
like again, really, like, and it'll be
Yeah.
in a different way because obviously her first experience was a stranger and on the bus. This time it's someone you know intimately. So I was really happy that she was with someone who was understanding of that, because the one thing you kind of need in that situation is someone who gets it. Because of course she's a 17-year-old girl. When she likes someone, of course you want to date them. That's an element for anyone who's ever gone through anything like this before. But there's also an element of being scared, and I'm happy that they showed all the dynamics of part of that. Of sometimes you want to date,
mm,
and but then there's the thing that stops you from wanting to do it, because what if this happens again? And
mhm,
then it was nice that she had someone supportive with her, who basically said, you do what you want. Like, I'm not here to tell you what you should and shouldn't do, because it's what you want to do. I'm
mm,
just happy, even if you don't want to do anything, I'm just happy us being. and we're friends. Whatever it is that makes you feel comfortable. I think he gave her agency to make a decision herself without forcing himself on her and without manipulating her to make the decision.
Yeah.
I was happy he just let her make the decision, whatever that decision was. I could tell if it went either way, he was never going to feel anything about it because he wanted her to be happy at the end of it. That was the only
Hmm.
thing he cared about. So I was really happy for her. That's when I got really emotional because I'm like, oh, this is actually really nice
Hmm.
to watch her
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
happy. And honestly, like Amy, what was her last name in real life as well? She's so beautiful as well. So, and she's got a really lovely smile. So just to see her smile genuinely and everything up, because that, what happened to her, I've never wanted to fight someone so much in my life. That was nasty.
Yeah.
What
That was
happened
not.
to her?
Yeah. Yeah. That was not fun. I kept on remember. I'd forgotten about the whole. When the girls go on the bus with her. That was
Oh,
probably
that's
season
one
two,
of the
right?
best scenes. That's one of the
Yeah, I'd
best
forgotten
scenes
about that
I've seen
until
on
this season.
television.
Yeah, when it started talking about, it, I was like, oh yeah, I remembered when they did that. Okay, I think we can wrap up. We're gonna skip therapy corner for time, but also like all the therapy in this, like everybody came with good advice. It was the end of the season. Everybody was good. O was good. O is a good therapist. Whatever. Do
Oh shit, we didn't even talk about her.
you want to talk about O? Let's talk about O. Let's talk about O. Let's talk about
Oh, hold my hands up.
O.
I'm sorry.
So
I'm
you apologize
sorry.
to O, but
Because
not
I
to
apologize.
Isaac.
No, because I apologize to her because she owned up to it publicly. That needed to happen. For me, that was the only way I think it would have been proper retribution because you
Hmm.
embarrassed Ruby publicly. So you needed to confess everything publicly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like now O can move on with her life and know that that thing has been said, and will actually will make her a better therapist now that she's exposed, and actually it will make it easier for people to open up to her.
Yeah.
Maybe some people, if someone who's been a bully who's now want to reform and they want to talk to her, she can explain from her perspective how that feels. A person who has been bullied, I don't know, because if you've heard your therapist, if your therapist then told you, obviously don't do it. But if you ever
Hmm.
found out that your therapist did bully someone, you're not going to really want to talk to that person if you've been bullied yourself. So she's opened her,
Yeah.
she's shot herself in the
Yeah.
foot in that sense. But now she can live her life freely. But I'm happy she apologized to Ruby. And it wasn't like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. It was more, no, I'm sorry because what I did was crap.
Yeah.
And if you don't forgive me, you don't forgive me. But you can tell that she was saying the sorry because she wanted to say sorry, not because she was expecting
Hmm.
forgiveness from Ruby. So yeah, I hold my hands up.
Okay. The segment I have here is I titled it "Lines That Are BoJack Level Too Close to Home." So, but I only have three. So, this is from who said this? Anyway, so the line is, "I'm worried that if I think about it too much, I'm going to end up all sad. So I'm just not thinking about it." That was Otis actually, Otis to Jean,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, calm down. Um, the next one was I think Abby. So yes, it says thinking negative things just makes me feel heavy. If I think about how hurt I feel, I just want to scream. So I try to keep things light, which are actually all. So I realized that all the three lines I have are all very similar. They all kind of have the same theme of like bearing things down and trying to not think about deep stuff. And Priscilla, can I
Yeah.
schedule in a meeting because it seems like I'm starting a therapy session right now. And then the third one is the big one from Joan, and she goes, "I'm scared that if I stop moving and I start properly talking about what happened, then might all catch up with me, and I'm able to pretend
Oh,
that
we
I'm
even didn't
okay
talk about
anymore."
that. Oh my gosh, that was so sad.
Yeah, so I figured we'll usually just talk about to Joan, and then we'll wrap up with Joan.
That
Yeah.
was heartbreaking. And you
Yeah.
know what? It made everything she's been doing make sense.
Hmm.
As soon
Yeah.
as she said it, I was like, yeah. And
Yeah.
what I was really happy about is that it was an intimate moment between her and Jean, and no one knows other than her and Jean.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that because sometimes it's always very scary to say something like that happening to you. Especially, it's even more frightening when your sister is a therapist and she's well
Yeah.
versed in this. Because
Hmm.
some people think it makes it easier. No, it doesn't. It makes it 20 times harder because then you feel like I have to tell them, but I'm not ready to tell them. But if I tell them, are they gonna psychoanalyze what's going on in my
Hmm.
feelings?
Hmm.
Are they
You
now
want a
gonna keep?
sister, not a therapist.
Yeah. So I was really happy that she managed to tell her, and I was happy that she told her at the time she told her, because obviously it was right for her,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously she and her sister were close, but they weren't that close. And I think obviously building a relationship with her, obviously with looking after the child and them bonding over everything, and her seeing Jean at rock bottom pretty much, and seeing her sister as her sister and not as what she envisioned her in her head, probably made her feel comfortable enough to be like, you know what, I can talk about this. This is
Mm.
something I can disclose with her. And I'm really happy that she was able to do that, because that's the hardest. The hardest thing is to say it. Like I always tell my patients, like that. Well, I used to tell my patients, but the hardest thing is to say it. Saying it is 70% of the problem solved. Well, not the
Mm-hmm.
problem solved, but 70% of what you're feeling will be pretty much easy a little bit by you being able to talk about it. The
Mm-hmm.
hard work comes in when it always comes to constantly reassessing the situation, constantly reaffirming, you know, that what happened to you was awful an experience and it should have never have happened. No one should have ever have done this to you. Do you know what I mean? But it was, I'm really happy because it means Jean actually did create a very good safe space.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I was happy that Jean didn't do the typical thing, which is then you sometimes when someone tells you something like that to you, you tend to like do too much. And she didn't do anything. She just let her sister talk
But
and
this wasn't
express
news to
herself.
Jean, right? Jean knew this.
Jean
Just
knew
hadn't
this.
hasn't been
She
Joe hadn't said it.
Joe had said it, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
different to know something and then someone actually
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
it.
of
Like I
course.
could suspect you of something, but I can't say that thing is true
Yeah.
until you've told me. So I was really happy that Jean didn't do the thing of like I knew it, because she could have done that. And someone who's not educated could have gone, "Oh, I thought
That would
that
have
because
been
you've been doing this and you've been doing
yeah.
that." Not on live, but like they could have not done this in this way at all.
Oh,
They could
okay, I
have
get
done
what
it a
you mean.
different
Yeah.
way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I always thought that, I thought that your behavior was a bit like this and this and this. Like she just let her talk and just let her say her piece, because that's the hardest bit. So I was happy that she did that. And I loved their relationship. I thought they had a really lovely relationship actually.
Yeah.
Um Also shout out to Otis actually confronting his mum for the first time. Oh my god. I've been waiting for him to do that for 4 years and he's finally done it. Not in the right way, but he
Yeah, I
finally
thought
said
that
it.
was a
He
bit
didn't say
too
it in
harsh.
the right way. He was too harsh, but he'd been
Yeah.
bottling that up for years. For
Yeah.
years, he'd been bottling that up. So I'm happy that he said it.
Hmm. And he apologized. That's also the important part.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
And she said thank you for apologizing, which that's not a common thing from the other end. It's not common for the other person to say thank you for apologizing. I am going to concede saying anything about that Joan situation, unless Chidu, you feel like you can contribute to that discussion.
No, I can't.
But yeah, no, I mean, Chidu, Priscilla, thank you very much. This has been an incredible 4+ hours of podcasting. I really enjoyed talking about this show. As you guys have said many
Same.
times, it's a great show. I think hands down, undoubtedly, objectively, covered so many topics so explicitly well. Obviously, some things aren't as great, but I would always, personally, I always applaud the attempt at first, and then if you didn't make it, we go again. But at least I like that you tried and you didn't just take the easy way out and just talk about the white cis hetero stories. So, any final thoughts before I wrap up?
Just sad that the show is going away, but yeah,
Yeah,
glad to have recorded these few podcasts with
and
you
at least
guys. We should
we
do
are
this more
happy.
often.
Yeah, and at least we're happy with the end. I mean, look, it
Yeah,
might come out.
exactly.
It might come out in a few days, and everybody hates the ending. But you know what? At least us, we watched it in a vacuum, and we are happy with what happened. Our opinion might end up being unpopular, and everybody might insult us, but we are happy with what we watched. That's
Please,
what
if they
that
insult
matters.
us, no publicity is bad publicity.
Yes. If they insult us, I will put all. You'll be surprised how many TikToks you see. I will put all of them out. I was like, look at these terrible opinions that these people
Oh
put
my
out.
god.
No, I hope people enjoyed this show. I really like the way it wrapped up. Okay, Thank you very much, Priscilla and Chinedu. Thank you very much to the listeners. You guys have stayed with us. Each episode has got progressively longer, so thank you. Uh, but yeah, of course, like I said, we're doing Gen V starting from next week. We're doing the Continental. If you just want some mindless blood and action, and yeah, I don't know if we do anything coming weeks, but for now, we're going to be focused with Continental and Gen V. Of course, Top Boy and Winning Time are also on the feed. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. And join us next week when I'll be joined by the incredible Oscar winner, director of the upcoming film, The Kitchen, Daniel Kaluuya. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.